the past couple of hours, India's government has pushed through a presidential decree. It abolishes the special status of India-administered Kashmir. The decision is expected to lead to unrest. It follows a security clampdown in the disputed region. Leaders across India-administered Kashmir, they've been placed under house arrest. Mobile networks have been suspended. Over the past 10 days, New Delhi has also deployed tens of thousands of soldiers to the area. We have in Islamabad, Kamran Yusuf. But first, let's go to the Indian capital, New Delhi. And Neha Punya is there for us. Apparently, there was uproar, you were telling us, in Parliament when this decision was announced. So what's happened in the subsequent few hours, Neha?
That's right. When India's Home Minister Amit Shah got up to make that announcement, most of what he was saying was drowned out by the din that we heard from the opposition benches, and that ruckus has simply continued over the last few hours, as well as many opposition parties have stood up to oppose what the government is proposing, which is revocation of the special constitutional status guaranteed to Jammu and Kashmir, and also the bifurcation of the state by making two union territories out of the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir. Many opposition parties, though, that are opposed to the government's other policies have sided with the government. So the sense we're getting now is that the government may just have enough support to push this amendment through on Monday itself. And what this essentially means is that the people of Jammu and Kashmir will no longer have their own constitution. They will no longer be allowed to decide their own property laws. Anyone in India, any Indian citizen will be allowed to buy land there. There will also be a complete implementation of all laws implemented in India's parliament. They'll also extend to Jammu and Kashmir, which wasn't the case prior to today.
Okay, let's look at that revocation, I suppose we can call it, of Article 370 in a bit more detail. As you say, it previously had allowed only Indians living in that part of India-administered Kashmir to buy land and to permanently settle there. But here's another interesting thing, that it also only allowed Indians inside that part of Kashmir to hold local government jobs. I mean, this seems to suggest that Narendra Modi, leading a right-wing nationalist party, the BJP, may be moving towards making those parts of India-administered Kashmir even more Indian. Because let's remember that while it is India-administered Kashmir, the majority of people are actually Muslims rather than Hindus.
That's right. Jammu and Kashmir is in fact India's only Muslim majority state, and this provision to revoke Article 370 is something that the BJP has spoken of since 2014, which is when Prime Minister Modi won his first term. And before this year's general elections in the month of May, you had Prime Minister Modi reiterating that if he won another mandate, the first thing that his government would do would take a look at the integration of Jammu and Kashmir with the rest of the country. So this is a step in that direction. And you're right in saying that this absolutely changes how Jammu and Kashmir operates, because earlier the State Assembly could decide who would constitute a permanent resident of the state, what the extent of land ownership rights would be, who could work for the state government there, and all of that changes now. And the Modi government has maintained time and again that the only reason why we see constant insurgency and protests in Jammu and Kashmir is because they're not fully governed by the Indian government, and they believe that this step will help curb the kind of dissent we've seen in Jammu and Kashmir. But Adnan, the irony is that all of this has taken place at a time when the people of Jammu and Kashmir have no idea of the kind of decisions being taken in Parliament here in New Delhi. There's a complete blackout in that state. Internet lines are down, landlines are down, and there's also no cable TV. So the people of Jammu and Kashmir have no idea that their fate is being decided by parliamentarians here in New Delhi.
Yeah, really important you raised there, Neha, just finally for us. Thank you very much. We will leave you and go to Islamabad and speak to Kamran Yusuf. Kamran, there's been a predictable reaction from the Pakistani government.
Well, the formal and official reaction is yet to come. We've been told that consultations are still underway in Islamabad among the relevant authorities to give the formal reaction. But Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has been speaking to a number of local television channels, and that gives us a fair assessment that what kind of reaction that Pakistan is going to give. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi clearly rejected Indian decision to revoke the special status of Indian-administered Kashmir. And he said that this violates the UN Security Council resolutions, because Pakistan's believe that UN Security Council resolutions are very important, because that call for the plebiscite in whole Jammu and Kashmir to determine the final settlement of Kashmir. And any demographic changes in the disputed territory can really alter the game altogether. And that's why Pakistan, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi says that Pakistan plans to take up this issue at the international level and also with the United Nations. Also, there has been reaction from a number of other Pakistani political leaders who also rejected this Indian decision. They say that India, under Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is playing a very dangerous game, and this will not only have serious implications for the subcontinent, but for the entire region.
Everything you've been describing, Kamran, suggests that actually in terms of practical applications and practical efforts to change what's happened in the Indian Parliament and this presidential decree is not really going to get Pakistan very far. That they can try some sort of legal means, they can try to go to some international bodies, but beyond that, this seems to be an Indian decision, and an Indian decision alone, and a decision that nobody else can change on India's behalf.
Well, that's the most important question, that no matter what Pakistan is saying, because they have already rejected, because they have always been opposed to such kind of changes inside the Indian-controlled Kashmir. The big question is what Pakistan can do, what options they have. Of course, that they can, and they have already stated that they will contact the powerful countries and also the United Nations. Will the United Nations really intervene? Because we have seen over the past many years that UN is really not that much proactive, despite the fact that they have passed a resolution on this issue. So on that particular area, Pakistan probably has limited options. So that's why the fear here is that ultimately many jihadi groups that India earlier accused Pakistan that they were operating with the help of Pakistan, there is a fear that those groups may re-emerge again and create the kind of trouble that earlier even brought the two nuclear-armed neighbors close to a war. So that's why this entire decision of the Indian government will have serious implications for both Pakistan and India, and for the peace of the region.
Okay, and of course they've already gone twice to war over issues concerning Kashmir. Kamran Yusuf in Islamabad. Thanks, Kamran.